Have you ever wondered how a simple idea born from a single pain point can transform into a globally recognized platform? Today, we're unraveling the story of Linktree, a startup that took Instagram's one link limitation and turned it into a golden opportunity. From their humble beginnings to rapid adoption by the likes of Alicia Keys and Pearl Jam, this is a story of taking a startup from zero to one. Hi everyone, Juliano Goulart here. And if you're looking for inspiration, insights, or the secret sauce to transforming a simple business, a simple idea into a thriving business, you won't want to miss this one. So grab your notepad and let's dive into the story of Linktree. Linktree, which launched in 2016, aimed to solve a specific problem, the one link limitation on Instagram, a platform growing in popularity by creators, influencers, and brands. This unique value proposition was the foundation of their marketing strategy. So let's break this case down into three parts. The first one being focusing on solving one problem exceptionally well. The strategy of focusing on solving one specific problem exceptionally well is a cornerstone of many successful startups. And this singular focus is advantageous for many reasons. It creates a strong value proposition. By solving a specific problem, Linktree was able to present a strong value proposition to their target audience. It made it easier for users to understand what Linktree was and what they were trying to solve. The one link limitation was a major pain point for many brands, creators, influencers, by not allowing you to redirect your users to a specific place like Facebook would allow you. Instagram really missed that feature, and Linktree directly addressed that problem. It also positions you as a specialist. Focusing on one problem allowed Linktree to position itself as a specialist rather than a generalist. Now, this created a perception of expertise and allowed users to maybe trust Linktree more than they would trust a more general solution. Now, this works in many verticals and industries. So imagine that you had a problem, whatever problem, let's just take a random problem. You broke your finger. Let's say you broke this specific finger and you now need surgery of any kind, right? So you go to someone and they say, oh, you should consult a surgeon or something like that, right? I'm not even sure if that will be the case. But anyway, you consult someone and they say, okay, we need to do a surgery. And this person normally is a general surgeon. I don't know if that exists, but they operate and they do surgery in whatever parts of your body. That's one thing. And then they tell you, well, but there is this other person that is a sort of a arms and hands specialist. So you could operate, you can have surgery with this person, and they would, because they're a little bit more specialized in this area of the arm and hands, they would be better at it. At least the perception is that, right? And then you find a surgeon that operates that makes the surgery specifically on hands. So it is a hand surgeon specialist. Well, you would probably trust that person, that surgeon, more than you would an otherwise general surgeon. And that is the same case for, and if there was one that operated specifically on that specific finger that you broke, then you see what I mean. Like, the more specialized someone is, you generally tend to think, okay, this person can and normally it is true, that person can really solve my specific problem. Or you can think of any device that you have that is kind of broken or not functioning well. If you could find a specialist in that particular device or electronic, then you would perhaps consider hiring their services more than you would consider hiring a generalist of any kind, right? Another reason why this kind of approach is advantageous is because it just streamlines product development so much more. When a company focuses on solving one specific problem, it can pour all of its resources, energy, and time into solving that specific problem. So the chances are you're going to be way faster and you're going to solve that particular problem much, much better than your competition. Thinking of it, it also allows you to have a quicker time to market, if that makes sense. A single focus solution simplifies marketing and messaging. Now, you may think that this is kind of relates to the first part of those advantages that I'm citing here, that I'm listing here. But when it comes to marketing more specifically, it's not just about saying what you are, but all of the advantages of your product. And when you have multiple solutions, it is so hard to market yourself in the right way for the right audience. It just, and sometimes even with the same when you have multiple products under one umbrella, those products might not be for the exact same target audience. And so, you've probably seen brands doing that. And that is, I would say, that is okay later on in the game, like when you actually have resources you're selling a ton. Though it makes sense to kind of expand and go up markets and move up markets and create different solutions for that are complementary to whatever solutions you have. But when you're an early stage startup, this is one of the worst things that you can possibly do, is to try to solve all problems. And then you will have this sort of Frankenstein marketing, because you're trying to convince a lot of people, a huge target audience of different possibilities and different solutions with your product. Linktree, in this case, was genius because it was so simple. It's basically like you have a link and you click. It's something that loads very, very quickly. It's just a landing page, if you will, but with the sort of buttons or the links. And you can just put whatever links you want there. It was so simple to market. So it makes sense that for them, their growth and adoption was so quick, because if it's solving a major pain point and it's very easy to understand what you're doing, then your chances of rapid growth increases significantly. And I think in the beginning, their message was, I might be wrong here in terms of like the actual word by word message, but it was something like, if you're frustrated with Instagram's one link limitation, we have a solution. Another thing that it cultivates a loyal user base. If you think of it, companies that solve a specific problem really, really well, they become loved by their customers. And it can be the simplest of problems. I remember when Calendly sort of popped up, and I remember how almost how ridiculous it was to see that a company that was what they were trying to do, is just schedule, book a call or book a meeting. That was it. And you had, of course, you had many tools. And one day maybe I'll talk about Calendly. It's a very interesting case. But some ideas are so simple that you go like, well, surely this won't survive over time. But obviously with Linktree, things were quite different. And in the last round in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, they raised on a $1.3 billion valuation, which is quite high for a company that is, at least that set out to solve one very specific problem. But again, if you solve really, really well a specific problem, then whoever is using your solution, if that was a pain point, they'll love you for that, especially if they can use that for free. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Also, when you start out with one specific problem, it allows for growth later on. It allows for quick adoption of new features later on. So this was kind of the case with Moxchat, actually my second company. But speaking specifically of Linktree, it allows them to kind of go like, okay, this is what we're solving for now, but then, hey, you can also do this now and this and this and that, but without corrupting the first message, which was one link limitation. But now users of Linktree know that they can do way more than that. They can have, not just links, but you can kind of have almost like a landing page, really, with their products, which doesn't cost that much if you really want to take things to the next level. A few of the features that Linktree, launched. Among those features, you have like direct payment and e-commerce integration. So those alone make a lot of sense for a lot of people, and they keep adding more. So long story short, in the early days, Linktree's singular focus on solving the one link limitation on Instagram was really the key factor in their early success. It gave them a clear value proposition. It allowed them to create a loyal customer base and also position themselves as specialists. And that, as a consequence, fueled their growth and allowed them to expand their services into different categories in areas that were sort of adjacent to the one specific problem that they were solving for. And if you want another example, I mentioned Calendly, but another one would be Slack. And I've talked about Slack here before. Slack is I mean, it's a very, very interesting case. They also started with, it was just to streamline communication within a company. And it was so simple. I remember I actually adopted Slack in its first initial version with I'm tempted to say my first company. Might have been the second one. Anyway, it was so simple and it was nothing special, honestly. Like by the way, we're already using at my company another tool that I completely forgot now, but it was a tool, it was exactly like Slack. It had the same kind of features. The only real difference was design. So that's why when I talk about Slack specifically, I always mention that they won by design. By design, what I mean by design is not by by being intentional about winning. I mean they won because of their design. The design, beautiful UI actually allowed Slack, in my opinion, to grow so fast and have such a massive adoption. Of course, their founder was already famous at the time. That helps a lot, obviously, but I don't think Slack would have had the same success where their design, their UI, not as good as it was. It was so modern, so simple, so friendly that I think it really captivated the attention of a lot of people, especially again people that have some regard for design. Part 2, free to use model. Linktree started as a free service, which allowed them to have rapid and massive adoption because they were pretty much accessible to everyone that wanted to use something to solve the one link limitation that Instagram had at the time. They later introduced a premium feature that allowed people to go beyond just including some links. We call it a freemium model, and that's exactly what I use in my two companies, but especially in the second company, MoxGen. The freemium model, where you have a basic version of the software of the product for free and a more feature-rich version, premium paid, is an excellent model for rapid expansion, I would say. In my opinion, several advantages that makes it better than the paid-only version of a model. For certain types of businesses, I should add. Lower barrier to entry. The freemium model allows users to try out the product with no financial commitment, with zero commitment, basically. You can just sign up and start using the product. And sometimes, depending on the product, you don't really want to sign up to a product just to find out it's not the best for you. And although the landing page tries to explain what your product does, there's nothing like testing it out in real time, live, with, maybe not live, but like, the real product, really trying to utilize it and see if it's a good fit for your company and for your business. So this lowers the barrier and allows a larger number of potential customers to try out your product and see if it's a real fit for them. And if they see value in your product, they'll adopt it and they'll pay for it. In my opinion, this is possibly the best model there is. Another point is a wider user range. Sometimes it's a good idea to onboard people that are not willing to pay for your product right now. They might not even be able to afford your product right now. However, in some cases, and I should point out that really is in some cases, when you have a product that doesn't cost as much, it might be a good idea to allow companies to use that for free and allow them to sort of grow with you, or vice versa. Allow them to start paying for your product once they are ready. Think of it, in many actual financial services or things like that. When you only pay when you use the product, I also like these models because it allows you to basically start using the product you don't want to pay for that service yet, or you don't have the capability of paying for that yet, but you know that once you reach a certain level, a certain whatever revenue, or whatever, you will pay for that model. So I think it's a good idea sometimes to let companies use it for free, in the hopes that they'll become bigger companies and will actually start consuming your freemium, your premium version, and paying for your product. I think that happens a lot, and I saw that a lot with my second company, and it is just a known strategy as well. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't consider that, and they just want people to pay straight away. But hey, if you can, if it's viable for your model, why not onboard those users that are just starting out, but that want to use a product like that, even though it's, it might be not feature rich, it might be just an initial version, but that a version that they can work with. And then once they're ready, once they're generating some money, some revenue, then they can actually start paying for your product. I think it's a good idea. I should also point out that in the case of Linktree, because it was customer facing, it allowed them to spread the word quite quickly. Whenever someone, even if they were not using the product, they were using the link. So whenever someone would click, they not only would see that the link, the URL was Linktree, but they would also see the sort of the promotion of Linktree at the end of that sort of landing page. So this allowed them to also like generate that word of mouth, and get adopted so fast. So in summary, a freemium model, to offer a freemium model, can be a great idea for your startup, especially in the early stages of it. You might even kill the freemium model later on. It's possible. I've seen it before. But starting out with that can really make it easier for you to grow faster and get the clients that you really want to get. It allows a company to build a large user base, get tons of feedback, which is super important in the early stages of a startup. Differentiate itself from competitors, and then convert those free customers into paying customers, because they're already using the product. So all you have to do is, increase the value you're delivering, basically add more value to your customer, and then charge a fee for that. Why not? In fact, Zachariah, the founder, mentioned specifically that in an interview when asked about sort of their success story. He, in response to that, he said, well, it's all driven by, our free version being the best it could be. My previous company, MoxChat, had exactly that. We had a freemium, a free plan. And I should say that our free plan was pretty good. It was actually really, really good. I remember people comparing that to Zendesk at the time, and they would say, "Wow, this is like so much that you sort of proposing in terms of value, that it's a no-brainer to choose MoxChat over any of these other competitors here." And it really allowed customers to try out the product, test it out, use it, get comfortable with the product. It was sort of a novel idea at the time, so it allowed them to test out, really get comfortable with the product, understand the value that we could provide, and once they felt comfortable and saw how much we could do for them, then they started paying. So the conversion from free to paid was actually really good. I'll give you an example of how it worked, just so you kind of, if you're starting your company, and if you're thinking of implementing a freemium model, which I, again, highly recommend, I'll give you an example of how it would work. So in our case at MoxChat, we had a free plan where you would have a total of 30 chats a month. So you could talk to 30 customers, during the month, but the moment you hit that mark, then we'd pop up a sort of a banner explaining, hey, you've reached your limit here, but you can continue talking to your customers and making sales and all of that if you upgrade to our pro plan, our premium plan, which costs whatever. And then that would indicate for them, hey, you've used all of this, and now you can continue talking to your customers. And not only that, you had all these additional benefits here. But this was one way to make the experience sort of smooth for them, because there was no like aggressive pop-ups or anything. Only when you hit a mark of 30 chats a month, which meant that you probably were making sales enough to justify paying for a tool that would help you maximize your sales. Another example is that you could only talk to one customer at a time, which for most early stage, I don't know, e-commerce stores and things like that, it was pretty good. But if you started having more traffic to your website and you had more people trying to understand a specific product or services that you were providing, then you would have perhaps two customers at the same time. And our system would allow you to talk to one customer at a time. If another customer wanted to talk to you, you would see that, and you would see that they were trying to talk to you, but that was part of our premium plan. So we'd pop up saying, hey, there's another customer talking to you, but this is part of our premium plan, and it's a specific feature. And so, just upgrade here. It was not expensive at all. So you could just upgrade and have all these additional features again. So it really, anyway, and when you upgrade to our premium plan, you could set triggers, and you could say, hey, if a visitor is on that specific page for that amount of seconds, then I want to show that specific message. There was a bunch of things that you could do with our product, but it was much easier to explain that once they started navigating and using your product. Onboarding them over time and showing more features and more features. It only makes sense when they already know the basics. If they didn't know the basics, it would have been a waste of time to try and to show them everything that they could do. It's the same old saying that says, you don't know what you don't know. And it is the case for that. I'm sure there are many software and services and products that that you thought like, oh, okay, this is not important. But then when you actually delve, sort of deeper, you understood that, okay, maybe this is way better than I expected. So it's the same approach. I think once you're able to onboard people and show them the basics, then you can expand and kind of show them more and more. And as the third part here, I would say it's the combination of luck and readiness. So just to exemplify this, Linktree launched on Product Hunt. Well, they were already ready and going, but they then launched the product on Product Launch and on Product Hunt, sorry. And Alicia Keys' manager saw it, and he just saw it and like, oh, okay, what's this thing? Maybe we can use that. And it worked for their purposes. So they implemented that on Alicia Keys' Instagram page. And that alone already catapulted the company to a different level. I mean, to have Alicia Keys kind of vetting your product, if you will, allowed many other artists to kind of like, okay, now I trust this product and I'm going to use it too. And then what they did, the founders at that time, they reached out to Alicia Keys' manager, and they jumped on a call and like, how can we help further? What can we do to add more value to what you're doing? What is it that you need? And according to the founders, it was all about at the time like doing whatever we needed to make the agency understand, the manager understand that they could use and for whatever other artist, and sign up the rest of the clients. And pretty soon the likes of Pearl Jam, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the Killers were using the product and adopting it. So to wrap up things, Linktree's early stage marketing strategy wasn't about big spend ads or flashy campaigns. Instead, we're relying on good product, clearly defined target audience, organic growth, a freemium model, and continuous innovation. I think it's a testament to solving one specific problem really well for a specific audience. I hope you liked the video. If you did, click the like button, subscribe to see more of that, and I'll see you next time.